Good morning, guys. Yesterday we started the components of Hadoop. Already we told briefly there are two main components in the Hadoop. One is HDFS, second one is the MapReduce. These are two main components of Hadoop. These are the components of Hadoop. One is HDFS, the second is the MapReduce. HDFS. When we come to the HDFS, mainly for five services are there in the HDFS. Name node, secondary name node, job tracker, data node, task tracker. These are the five nodes or five services or five daemons available in the HDFS. These can be called as services, daemons, or the nodes. Okay, when we come to already we told you first three come to the category of master. Second two will come to the category of slave. Okay, slave in the inside the slave, everyone can communicate with everyone freely. Inside the master, everyone can communicate with every other freely. But when we come to communication between master and the slave, from the master only name node can communicate with data node. From the master only job tracker can communicate with task tracker. Clear. Name node only can communicate with data node. Job tracker cannot communicate with data node. Similarly, name node cannot communicate with the task tracker. Secondary name node cannot communicate with both data node or task tracker. Okay. Inside the master, everyone can communicate with every other. Inside the slave, everyone can communicate with every other. But when we come to the communication between master and the slave, okay, name node in master only can communicate with the data node in the slave. Job tracker in the master can only communicate with task tracker in the slave. That is the things. Now, when we come to the architecture of the HDFS, if you see the architecture of the HDFS, okay, when we come to the architecture of the HDFS, already we told HDFS is a cluster of machines. Okay, here this one machine, one on separate machine. This is called the name node. This separate machine is called the name node. All these machines are the data nodes. Begin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, all these nine nodes are the data nodes. We call these as data nodes. Then that separate one is called the name node. Remaining all are the data nodes. Clear? Okay. The HDFS cluster contains the name node as well as the data nodes. In one line before starting, simply I will say what I will say, I want to say. When we compare with JFS, name node is black as the master server and data nodes will act the chunk servers when we compare with the Google file system. That means name node will only maintain the information about the data nodes, which data is stored in the name data nodes, how data nodes are storing. When we come to the data, these are the machines which are actually storing the files. Okay, the files, the data nodes are the machines which are actually storing the files. Name node is the machine which is only operating. It is like master, and these are the like servers, slaves. Sorry, master clients. Okay, client server architecture. See, whenever a client is there, a client has a file f.txt, f.txt file. A client is there. The size of the f.txt is 200 MB. Okay, he approached the name node and saying that I want to store my file f.txt in your HDFS. Clear, in your HDFS. So the client approached the name node that he wants to store the 200 MB file in his HDFS. Then what the name node will do is first he will see the size of the file 200 MB. Yes, the size of each block in HDFS is 64 MB. He will calculate how many blocks are required for this file. Nearly 4 blocks are required. So, for example, for our convenience, this file is divided into 4 parts subfiles: a.txt, b.txt, c.txt. Internally, this file f.txt is divided into 4 subfiles: a.txt, b.txt, c.txt, and d.txt. Separately, it is divided. Clear. Then what the name node will do is, okay, it will identify for storing these 4 files A, B, C, D, whose size is 64 MB. It will identify what are the suitable data nodes. Okay, which data nodes are currently available for storing this file. For example, it identified the data nodes as data nodes 3, 5, 7, 9. For example, it identified. So it will give back the information. You can store your files A, B, C, D in the data node 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, with the names of the blocks, it will spend the names of the data nodes, which data nodes. Okay, you can store your 4 subfiles A, B, C, D in data node 1, 3, 5, 7. That information will be given back to the this one. Clear. Now, at the same time, name node will take a mapper. It maintain the information in the thing itself. It will maintain the information A, B, C, D. Where it wants to store, it has given the details. A can be stored in 1, 3, 5, 7. Clear. That information again will be passed to the client. Now the client will, yep, for the file A, location is data node 1. So first client will approach data node 1, and it will say, I want to store my a.txt in you. So it will place its file a.txt in this one. Similarly, for B, it will approach data node 3, and it will store b.txt in data node 3. Similarly, it will approach 5, and it will store here in the data node 3. B will be stored in the 5, C will be stored in the 7, D will be stored. Okay, the client is approaching each data node and it is storing the files in that locations. Clear. Here for reliability, already we know the Hadoop cluster is a commodity hardware. It is a cluster of commodity hardware. That means cheap and inexpensive hardware parts are using here. Since we are using the very cheap and inexpensive hardware parts, there are more chances of failure of the hardware components. So the question will arise to the client: if since your components are cheap and inexpensive, if your hardware have failed to work, what about my data? Okay, there is no reliability for the data. Why? Because we are using the inexpensive and cheap components. Okay, so to improve the reliability, what they are doing is, okay, internally HDFS is storing every file will be stored 3 copies. Okay, whenever your file has entered into the data node, okay, the same file will be stored 3 times. Clear. See, whenever the file A has came to data node 1, a.txt, immediately after storing a.txt, data node 1 will send the same file to another data node which has the free space. For example, data node 1 will send that information to same a.txt to data node 2. Okay, internally they will maintain the count variable, first count. When a.txt is stored in data node 1, count is 1. Since count is still less than 3, less than or equal to 3, again it will send that copy to data node 2. Data node 2. Count is now 2. Again, data node 2 will send same a.txt to another nearby data node which has the free space. For example, it send that one to, if we take that one as a.txt is sending that file to 6. That means originally client is storing the data node 1 a.txt in data node 1. Again, data node is creating the same copy in data node 2. 2 is creating the same copy in data node 6. So by maintaining the count variable. So internally, same a.txt is stored 3 times. So that now there is high reliability. That means whenever any same copy is available in 3 different data nodes, any data node machine is failed also, we have no need to worry about the loss of data. Why? Because the same copy is available in 2 more systems. Okay, by default HDFS will maintain do three copies of every file similar to GFS. If the client wants, he can increase that count also. Yeah. Now again, okay, this information will be updated in the server. Okay, where the original copy is in data node 1. Where are the 2 remaining copies of A in data node 2, data node 6? So 1, 2, 6. That information, okay, A is available in 3 different data nodes, 1 to 6. That is the process of storing a.txt. Similarly, b.txt will be stored in original copy will be in 3. Remaining copies will be in, for example, 3, 7, 9. Similarly, for example, 5 is stored in 5, 1, 3. 4 is stored in 7, 8, 9. Okay. This is the name node is updating the data. Whenever the duplicate copy is stored, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 6, 3, 7, 9, 5, 1, 3, 9. Okay. This information, one copy of this information will be passed to the client also. Name node will send one copy of this information to the client also. It will pass happily that information back to the client. Clear? Okay. That is the thing. How client is storing the file in the HDFS. Client is approaching name node. Name node is identifying the data nodes and giving information about the data nodes. Client is communicating with the data nodes and he is storing the file parts in the data nodes. Okay, name node is maintaining the metadata. Here internally, what is happening this one is for every period of time. Okay, for every period of time, data nodes will send information to the name node. Okay, if for every period of time, data node will send 2 informations to the in name node. There one is their heartbeats, second one is block report. Heartbeats and block reports. Okay, the heartbeats indicates that data nodes are alive. The block report indicates that currently how many blocks are filled with data. Okay, whose files are in the blocks. Next, how many free blocks are there. That information basically will be available in the block report. How many empty blocks are there? How many blocks are filled with the files? Okay, with whose files those blocks are filled. All that information will be given in the form of block report. So for every period of time, for example, if you take the period of time as 2 minutes, for every 2 minutes it will send every data node will send information to the name node. Information will be sent to the name node. So that name node will identify currently these data nodes are alive. With the help of heartbeats, it will identify the following data nodes are alive. That means they are in their working condition. And basing on the block report, it will identify how much space is available in each data node. So that whenever a new file came, it will easily allocate the file to data nodes. Clear. If any data node fail to send the heartbeat to that one, it will understand that that particular data node is failed to work. It is not alive. then it will immediately we have to replace the data node. This is the first component. Okay, HDFS, how data is stored in the Hadoop. Okay, storing. Here the role of for storing the role will be for name node, data nodes, client. These three will play the role in storing the files. Here the part, this part is only for storing the files, not for processing the files. Okay. Now we have to see the concept of processing the files. Okay. How to process the files which are stored in the Hadoop. Is it clear how it is storing? Internally, briefly we have seen how it is storing. Now, when we come to the concept of processing, there are two more persons will involve. One person is the job tracker JT, the other person the TTs. Every data node machine will contain task tracker. Okay, TT will be available in the every data node is attached with the TT task tracker. See, when we come to this one, job tracker is there. JT job tracker will be there. Okay, along with name node, there is in the master part there is another machine called the job tracker. And when we come to the slave part, every data node is attached with a task tracker. Simply in one line, what is his concept is job tracker is the person who is allocating the jobs. Task tracker is the person who is doing the task. In one line answer, task tracker is the program who is doing the task, whereas job tracker is the person or program who is organizing all these task trackers. Clear? Now, whenever the client wants to process the data, he will approach the job tracker. I want to process my data or I want to analyze my data. The client will approach the job tracker for processing the data. Clear? Now, whenever the client approaches the job tracker for processing the data, immediately job tracker will communicate with name node. Job tracker will communicate with first it will communicate with name node to know the metadata of the file which is asked by the client. So then name node will give information about location of the file, which data nodes contains that file. That information will be given back to the job tracker. Job tracker will ask the name the client one has came for accessing his file. Okay, where are the what are the data nodes for that file? Then name node will give the data nodes for that of that file which belongs to client one to the job tracker. Then, for example, for the file of our client, that the primary replicas are 1357. Original copies are 1357 data nodes. So 1357 will be given to this job tracker. Will be given back to this job tracker. Now what the job tracker will be this a.txt is available in data node 1. So immediately it will pass information to task tracker on data node 1. It will pass information to task tracker in data node 1 to access the to process a.txt. Similarly, he will pass information to task tracker on data node 3 to process b.txt. Similarly, he will pass information to task tracker on data node 5 to process c.txt. Therefore, he will pass information to task tracker on the data node 7 to process d.txt. A.txt is in 1. So it will communicate with the task tracker on the data node 1 for processing a.txt. Similarly, b.txt is available in data node 3. So it will communicate with job tracker will pass information to task tracker on data node 3 to process b.txt. Similarly, task tracker of data node 5 to process c.txt. task tracker of data node 7 to process d.txt. Like that, he will pass information to every task tracker. Clear. What the task tracker will do is he will process the data which is available on that one. Here also, there is a question that okay. Here also the point is for every period of time, task tracker will give 2 informations to the job tracker. Okay. Here also for every period of time, task tracker will give 2 informations to the job tracker. One information is their heartbeats. Using the heartbeats of the task trackers, job tracker will identify currently how many task trackers are alive. Similarly, it will give the job report. Clear. Like block report, task trackers will give the job report. The job report contains currently this task tracker is processing how many files it is processing, whose files it is processing, how much percentage of processing is over. Like that information will be given in the job report. Clear. The task trackers will give heartbeats and job report to the job tracker. Okay, heartbeats indicate task trackers are alive. Job report indicate currently how many files are processing, whose files are processing, how much percentage are there. For every period of time, they will send that one. Okay. For example, if the job tracker doesn't receive heartbeat from any task tracker, means it will understand that task tracker is failed to work. That the task tracker is failed to work. Immediately, whatever the task given to the task tracker, that work will be given to another task tracker. Since it is not working, the same task will be given to another task tracker. Okay. For a period of time, if heartbeat doesn't came, it will understand that the task tracker machine is failed, and it will assign the task to another task tracker. Clear. That is the thing here going on. Okay, every task tracker will process the files. Every task tracker will process the files. Okay, like that, the task tracker will do the work assigned by the job tracker. That's why we are saying task trackers are the slaves of job tracker. Data nodes are slaves of name nodes. Data nodes will store the whatever the data that is stored by the name node. Task trackers will do whatever the task given by the job tracker. That's why these are the slaves of job tracker. Those are the slaves of name node. Clear. Here come when we come to this one. Okay, there is a question that after the processing is done, see our original file is f.txt, but actually that file is not in the same format in the Hadoop. In the Hadoop, inside the Hadoop, it is divided into 4 sub files: a.txt, b.txt, c.txt, d.txt. Okay, it is divided into 4 sub files. They are stored in different data nodes, and they are processed by different task trackers. A.txt is processed by task tracker 1. B.txt is processed by task tracker 3. D.txt is processed by task tracker 7. C.txt is processed by task tracker 5. Like the different task trackers are processing different files or parts of subfiles of the given original file. But the client wants the output as a total. He don't want the output of separately for A, B, C, D. Hence, according to the client, the original file is f.txt. So he wants only the entire process after processing all the files. He wants the combined output only. Clear. Now, here when we come to this concept, here another role will come into play. That is, okay, after task tracker 1 completed the work, okay, who will gather the result of task tracker 1 means there is a mapper attached to the task tracker 1. Here come to the role of mapper. For every for every for every file there is a mapper will be there. Okay, for every file, basing on how many scripts are there, that much number of mappers will be there. The duty of mappers is to collect output from the task trackers. Okay, basing on how many parts of the file subfiles we have, that much number of mappers will be there. Okay, the mappers will collect output from the task trackers. Then the mappers will collect output from the task tracker and they will pass the output to another machine called the reducer. Okay, we have another machine called reducer. What is the duty of this reducer is? Okay, the mappers will collect output from different task trackers and all the outputs collected from the task trackers will be combined into a single output by this reducer. The reducer duty is to combine the results brought by the mappers into a single unit. That combination will be done with the help of this reducer. That means, for example, okay, the mappers will collect information from the task tracker and reducer will combine all the results brought by the mappers into a single output, which is given back to the client, who is combining the results of the sub results. Means reducer is combining the sub results. Who is bringing the results to the sub results to the reducer? Means mappers will bring the sub results to the reducer. Reducer will reduce the sub results into a single result. Clear? That is the thing. Here, one important points we have to remember is, okay, see, our original file is f.txt. Internally, it is divided into 4 subfiles A, B, C, D. Okay, these 4 subfiles are called as the input splits. We call them as input splits. Okay, input splits. Internally, they are called as the input splits. Okay, your original file is f.txt. Okay, and for the purpose of the 64 MB blocks, the internal original file is divided into the some partitions, some subfiles. Those subfiles are called the input splits. Here, important point is how many number of input splits we have, that much number of mappers will be there. How many number of input splits will be there, that much number of mappers will be there. The duty of the mappers is to collect output from the task tracker, to collect result of that sub processing of that sub file from the task tracker. Okay, all the input splits will be given to different task trackers. The task trackers will process the input splits. Okay, and they will produce the result. The results produced by the task trackers will be brought to the reducer by the mappers. The mappers will bring that result to the task tracker. Okay, how many mappers will be there in the HD Hadoop? Means how many splits we have, input splits we have, that much number of mappers will be there. For example, if your program is divided into 10 subfiles, then 10 mappers will be there. If your program is divided into 20 subfiles, then they will have 20 mappers will be there. Okay, here the important question generally, very important question is, how many input splits are there, that much number of mappers will be there. But when we come to the reducer, okay, by default there will be only one reducer in the Hadoop. Okay, by default only one reducer. Okay, but number of mappers will depend on the input splits. Okay, the duty of the mapper is to bring the sub result from the task tracker to the reducer. To bring the results from sub results from the task trackers to the reducer is the duty of the mappers, and the duty of the reducer is to combine all the sub results into a single result. That is the duty of this one. Okay, this second part is called map reduce. Okay, map reduce. With the help of job tracker and the task tracker, processing of the subfiles will be done and the results will be combined into a final result with the help of the map reduce. So, okay, totally this is the architecture of the Hadoop. The architecture of the Hadoop HDFC is this one. It will contain name node, job tracker, data nodes, as well as the task trackers. Clear? We have skipped one more service called the secondary name node. Okay, we will discuss that one later. After a few minutes, we will discuss about the secondary name node. Okay, currently we have seen name node, job tracker, data nodes, as well as the task trackers. We have seen mappers and reducers. Here the important points is, okay, if you divide the original file into 64 MB parts, each part is called input split. Okay, f.txt is divided into 4 ABCD subfiles. These ABCD subfiles are called the input splits. The terminology is important. Input splits, we call them as input splits, and Basing on how many inputs are there, that much number of mappers will be there. The duty of mappers is to bring the sub results to the reducer program. Okay, the duty of the reducer program is to to combine all the sub results into a single result. That is the duty of this reducer. By default, there will be only one reducer, but number of mappers will depend on the how many input bits we have. Clear? And that is the thing. Here, when we come to all these things, we have the name node, job tracker, data nodes, and task trackers are there. Okay, among all these, data nodes and task trackers are the commodity hardware. That means data nodes and task trackers are the commodity hardware. They are inexpensive hardware, and there is a more chance of failure. If one data node failure, another two more copies are available in other data nodes, so no problem at all. If one task tracker fails, okay, the same task will be given to another task tracker. There is no problem at all. That means even though when data node or task tracker is failed to work, okay, the process will not be stopped. The process will not be stopped, and there is okay, and there is no problem to the client at all. But when we come to the server nodes, that is name node and job tracker, these two nodes are the very crucial ones. Name nodes and job tracker. Why? Because name node will contain the metadata about the subfiles. Okay, the file metadata is stored at the name node. Job tracker will contain the metadata about the task trackers, which task tracker is doing which job, is processing which file. Okay, the metadata of the job tasks is available at job tracker. The metadata of the name node is available. Then the metadata of the files is available at the name node. So these two nodes are very crucial one. That's why in the Hadoop, name node and job trackers are the high reliable hardware. They are not commodity hardware. We maintain name node machine and the job tracker machine with high reliable machine instead of the cheap and inexpensive hardware. We use the high reliable machines for name node and the job tracker. Why? Because they are very crucial ones. If we lose the job tracker, we don't have the metadata about the processing. Since whenever job tracker is failed to work, okay, all the processing will be stopped at all. We can't process the data if you lose the job tracker. Similarly, if you lose the name node, your entire Hadoop will stop working. If the name node device is failed, if the name node machine fail, the entire Hadoop will be fail, will stop to work. Why? Because there is no metadata. Nobody knows which file is available in which data node. Okay, nobody knows which data nodes are free, which data nodes are busy. Nothing will be there. So if the name node fails, entire Hadoop will stop. Even though you Hadoop install Hadoop in your network, no use at all. Why? Because the name node machine is not working. That's why job tracker machines and the name node machines are maintained with high reliable hardware. Okay, these two machines are the single point of failure machines. That means there is very less chances for failure of these two. Okay, and single point of failure means, okay, if they fail, very less chances are there for their failure. If they fail, there is no repair at all. Simply we will throw them away. That is, they are the single point of failure. Okay, single percent chance is there for the failure of those systems. If they failed, entire process will be stopped. That is briefly the components of the Hadoop, that is HDFS and the MapReduce. Mappers are used for bringing results from the task trackers to the reducer. Reducer duty is to combine all the sub results into a single result. That is the part of MapReduce. Name nodes, job data nodes will store the duty is to store the files. Job tracker and task trackers duty is to process the data. Now, in this entire architecture of the Hadoop, we missed only one more node called secondary name node. What is the use of this secondary name node? Generally, as the name is secondary name node, we think that it is an alternative for name node. If name node fails, we think that if name node fails, secondary name node will work as a name node. Generally, we people think like that only, but actually it is not the right answer. Okay, secondary name node is not an alternative for name node. Okay, if name node fails, it don't work as a name node. Clear?
The secondary name node contains only the checkpoints of the metadata of name node. Okay, the checkpoints of metadata of name node is maintained in the secondary name node. I think you have idea about the checkpoints in TPMS. You have heard about the checkpoints. What is the use of these checkpoints? At any point of time, if failure occurs, to roll back to the safest place. Okay, safe mode, we are using the checkpoints. For example, for every period of time we will maintain a checkpoint. Okay, whenever we have failure, simply we will roll back to the previous checkpoint. I think you have idea about the checkpoints. Clear? That checkpoints will be stored in the secondary name node. Whenever the name node machine fails, we bring a new name node machine. And how the new node name node machine will know the metadata, since original name node is lost, the checkpoints are already stored in the secondary name node. By using the checkpoints in the secondary name node, the new name node will get back the metadata information. Clear? The secondary name node is not an alternative for name node. Just it will store the checkpoint. It is used as a for storing the checkpoints of metadata of the name node. Okay, for every point of time, for the metadata, whenever the metadata is updating, for every point of time or period of time, the checkpoints of metadata will be stored in the secondary name node. So that whenever the name node is failed, okay, we will replace the name node with a new name node, and the new name node will get the information about the metadata by using the checkpoints created in the secondary name node. Okay, by using the checkpoints, it will roll back to the previous metadata. Okay, before before failure of the name node, what is the status of safest state of the metadata? It will roll back to the safest state. That is the role of the secondary name node. Okay, but don't consider the secondary name node as a alternative for name node. Only to store the checkpoints of the metadata only. If name node fails, secondary name node will not do its work. So if name node fails, entire Hadoop will be stopped working. That's why job tracker and name nodes are maintained with high reliable hardware. Okay, instead of the commodity hardware, these are maintained with the high reliable hardware, which are very expensive. Why? Because we want them as the point of failure should be very less. We want that chances of failure of these two should be very less. That's why we use high reliable software, high reliable hardware. Okay, like generally. Okay, for example, you are purchasing a shirt. If you want the high quality shirt, you want the shirt for more number of days with same quality. Okay, if you want the high quality shirt, we will go for the branded, which has a huge cost. Okay, if you want a low quality one, which is for few days only, you want to wear that one, then we will go for low cost. Okay, when we purchase a low cost one shirt, which has the low quality, what will happen? In a few days, it will be tear away, torn away. Clear, the shirt will be torn away. Why? Because it is the low cost one. It has no quality. When we purchase the same with the branded one, it will have high quality. Even though after the few number of months also, it will look like a fresh shirt. Okay, similarly here also for the job tracker and the name node, we are using high reliable hardware, and for the data nodes and task trackers, we are using the commodity hardware. Remaining all are the commodity hardwares. When we come to the out of those five nodes, name node and job tracker are high reliable nodes. Next, remaining all the nodes are the commodity hardware. This is briefly totally about the architecture of the Hadoop or components of the Hadoop H3FS and MapReduce. We will learn completely about MapReduce in the future third unit. Okay, we will learn in more details about the MapReduce. That is briefly about this concept of architecture of the Hadoop. Is it clear, guys? Tomorrow we will see the installation of Hadoop next class. Thank you very much. Bye.